Real Madrid has this insane reputation for ruining players, and not in the usual way, but in a way that's almost legendary. It's like the curse of the Bernabeu or something. Real has got this thing where they're always after the best of the best, right? It all started with Florentino Perez's Galáctico's policy back in 2000, where every summer, Real's basically signing one of the world's top talents, whether it's David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo, Toni Kroos, Jude Bellingham, or even Mbappé. But here's the thing, it doesn't always work out. Some of these players who were on top of the world before they joined Madrid end up going downhill once they put on that white jersey. It's so bad that they even have a name for it, the Bernabeu bite. Let's start with one of the biggest names in this whole mess, Fabio Cannavaro. This guy was an absolute monster on the field. He's one of only 3 defenders in the entire history of football to win the Ballon d'Or. He led Italy to World Cup glory in 2006, and you'd think that would be the highlight of his career. But nah, he joined Real Madrid the same year and things started to go downhill fast. At first, everything seemed fine. The fans loved him and he was solid in defense. But then, as it often happens at Madrid, the pressure kicked in. By his last season, people were calling him too slow and too old, and this was at the ripe age of 34. That's not even that old for a defender. Eventually, he had to leave for Juventus and wrapped up his career in Dubai. So, you see, even legends like Cannavaro aren't immune to that Bernabeu bite. Next up, we've got Rafael van der Vaart. This guy was a beast when he was younger. We're talking Golden Boy Award winner, Dutch Football Talent of the Year, stuff that legends like Marco van Basten, Romario, and even Lionel Messi had bagged before. You'd think a player with that much hype would absolutely tear it up at a club like Real Madrid, right? Well, not exactly. He made the move to Madrid in 2008 from Hamburg, but instead of starting as a key player, he was only used as an impact sub. That raised a lot of eyebrows and started rumors about a fallout between van der Vaart and the management. After just 2 years, he left for Tottenham in 2010, but let's be real, he never quite reached the heights that his talent suggested he should. And then there's Michael Owen, man. This guy was one of the most exciting players around when he burst onto the scene in the late 90s. That world-class goal against Argentina in the 1998 World Cup, his insane goal-scoring record at Liverpool, and don't forget, he won the Ballon d'Or in 2002. You'd think with that kind of pedigree, a move to Real Madrid in 2004 would have been the perfect next step. But injuries and a lack of opportunities made his time at Madrid pretty forgettable. He scored 13 goals in La Liga, but was gone by the following season. After Real, he played 8 more years, scoring 158 goals before and just 48 after. That right there tells you how much that move and those injuries ruined his career. And then there's David Beckham now. Whether he was ruined by Real is a bit more up for debate. But let's be honest, he wasn't the same player after he moved from Manchester United. Beckham arrived at Real Madrid as one of the world's top players, a nominee for World Player of the Year, and a deadly right winger known for those pinpoint crosses. But at Madrid, they shoved him into a central midfield role alongside the likes of Figo and Zidane in a 5-3-2 formation. And that totally messed with Beckham's best asset, his crossing ability from the wings. He didn't have the same impact at Madrid, and by the time he left at 32, he was off to the MLS. Real Madrid definitely got a different version of Beckham, and he never quite hit those Manchester United heights again. Next one is Antonio Cassano now. This guy was a disaster from the start. Real Madrid bought him from Roma in 2006 for €5 million, and you might think that's a small fee, but it was still a huge waste. He played just 7 times for the club and scored only 1 goal. His attitude was terrible, and his diet was, well, even worse. The man didn't even seem interested in football. He later confessed that after a night out, his friend, a hotel waiter, would bring him pastries after he was done with the ladies. Sex and pastries, that was Cassano's idea of a good night. Real Madrid definitely didn't get what they paid for with this one. Next, we've got Nicolas Anelka, a striker with a ton of talent, but let's say he was a bit of a drama queen. Madrid paid €34.5 million to bring him in from Arsenal in 1999, and, well, it didn't take long for things to go south. Anelka only lasted 1 season at Madrid, but boy, was it a wild ride. He did score a couple of big goals, one in the Clasico and a couple more in the Champions League, but he wasn't exactly the team player you'd hope for. He ended up being suspended for 45 days for refusing to train, and he actually accused Madrid of treating him like a dog. Yeah, not exactly a fairy tale ending, huh? James Rodriguez, now this one stings. Madrid dropped €80 million to sign the Colombian sensation after his amazing World Cup in 2014. He was absolutely on fire that tournament, scoring goals left and right, and it looked like he was going to be the next big thing at the Bernabeu. He had a solid first season, bagging 17 goals across all competitions. But then Zidane came in as manager, and James' time at Real Madrid pretty much died. He barely featured, and by the time his loan spell at Bayern Munich ended, he was a shadow of the player who had once won the Golden Boot. After a disastrous final season with just 8 appearances, Madrid let him go for nothing. Talk about a fall from grace. Then there's Kaka. This guy was an absolute gem at AC Milan, and when Real Madrid paid 65 million euros to bring him over in 2009, the expectations were sky high. A Ballon d'Or winner at the peak of his powers, he was supposed to be the perfect partner for Cristiano Ronaldo. But injuries and the arrival of Jose Mourinho and Mesut Ozil totally messed with his career. Sure, he had a Liga title and some decent moments, but as he admitted, he kind of lost the joy of playing football in Madrid. It's a shame because he could have been so much more. Finally, we've got Eden Hazard. This one is a tough one. Real Madrid had been dreaming of signing Hazard for nearly a decade before it finally happened in 2019 for a whopping 120 million euros. But the moment he showed up in Madrid, he was already in trouble. He turned up overweight for preseason training. Then, the injuries started piling up. He'd had an injury-free career at Chelsea, but in Madrid, it was a nightmare. Even when he did manage to stay fit, he looked nothing like the player who had lit up the Premier League for 7 years. Hazard did win a couple of trophies with Madrid, including the Champions League, but he hardly contributed to their success. 7 goals in 76 appearances. For 120 million euros, that's got to be one of the worst signings in Madrid's history, no question about it. And before we go, here's a big question for you. Will Kylian Mbappé join this list? He's been at Madrid for a while now, but let's be real, he's not exactly lighting it up like everyone thought he would. Do you think he'll end up on this list of ruined stars, or will he turn it around and prove us all wrong? Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on more football talk. Catch you in the next one.